Da sind wir wieder. Und zwar die nächste halbe Stunde beschäftigen wir uns ein bisschen mit Kameras und was man damit machen kann in Laptops. Aber vorher habe ich noch 2, 3 Fragen. Sorry, Frank, im Chat, ich habe es verpasst. Ich sehe gerade, wie sieht es denn bei Vodafone mit der Netzneutralität aus? Die Frage hätte ich sogar super gerne gestellt. Wir haben einen richtigen Ansprechpartner mit dem Pressesprecher gehabt. Dickes Sorry, dass der jetzt schon abgeschaltet ist. Ich habe einfach da nicht in den Chat geguckt. Dann haben wir den Stefan Beckmann noch. Wie viele Leute gucken gerade den Stream? Gute Frage. Ich weiß es nicht. Ja. Es sind viele. Es sind immer ein paar tausend, die wir im Moment hier drauf haben. Und damit kommen wir endlich zum Peter Tieberg. Peter is a Strategic Business Development Manager at Tobii. You already talked last year here at CeBIT, right?
Yes, I had the opportunity to join you last year. That was a lot of fun.
That was definitely a lot of fun. And you have some amazing hardware over here, right? Just, you know what, Peter, we have some stuff. You know what, can we switch over to the camera behind us? Schalt mal. Just 1 second. We have a camera up there.
Cool.
Let me just rearrange this. So that's your laptop. And you know what, let's start with the fundamental hardware here first. Can we just get rid of this laptop?
Yes. Put it here.
Okay, here we go. So, okay, number 1. And this is
what's the outside of the...
How it's going to look like.
Yeah.
So, Peter, tell us a little bit about this.
So what we see here, this plastic thing here, that's called the Tobii iRex, which is the latest eye tracker from Tobii, and this is actually when we move into the consumer space. The Tobii iX controller, it's being launched now in about 3 weeks. You can already now go in and pre-purchase it, and it's part of a development kit. So it's for all the guys out there who really can build great applications or games, for that matter. So you can go in and you can pre-order or purchase right now, and you'll get the device in the end of this month.
So we're talking about an eye tracking device. And tell us a little bit about like kind of user scenarios and what am I going to do with it?
So the interesting thing now, and that's big news I think since last year, Sascha, that is that in the summer of 2014, they're going to be eye tracking for consumers. So together with SteelSeries, we're going to launch a device for the consumer market aimed towards gaming. So first out is gaming, just like we've seen in other Kinect and other peripheral devices. That gaming is really the front runner many times in terms of the people being techies. They really want to see new devices.
Right.
So this device is the development kit that I'm showing here. And if you get this, you know that if you develop cool applications or games, it's going to be able to be used on the SteelSeries device that's launched in the middle of 2014.
Yeah. So it's going to be part of a notebook? Is it going to be part of a tablet?
The SteelSeries device is going to look something similar to this. So we have the inside technology here. So this is the eye tracking technology that you can see. Let's see, where is the camera watching right now?
Can we switch over to the other camera?
Yeah, I think that's good. There we go, perfect. So that's what's inside the device. And you can see you have some illuminators and you have a sensor. And with that, we can determine with the same precision as touch, basically, where you're looking on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And with that information, you can build some amazing new things. And if we're talking gaming, one thing is controlling a game. But the really cool thing is when you start getting immersion into a game, so that what you're doing in front of the device actually matters in the game. For instance, if you're walking into a bar, and there is a bouncer standing outside the bar, and you're looking a little bit too long at his purse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the bouncer might ask you if you're trying to steal the purse because you looked at it. Or when you're coming into the bar and you're actually looking at the bartender, he nods at you because when you're looking at him, he knows that you're looking at him. So by this, or you're looking too long at the beautiful girl in the bar, right? And someone gets upset because you're looking at the wrong girl. So creating all this immersion will basically take gaming to a new level.
Yeah.
Another example, if you're sitting in front and you're playing an FPS game, and you're standing behind a wall and you're leaning out in front of the computer, and you're actually leaning out also in the game. Or you can see an opponent actually looking at you because if he's looking at you, you can see how he's turning his head looking at you.
Right.
So
right.
all of these things is just going to create a completely new level of immersion in any type of game, basically.
So, gamification kicked off so many new technologies, right? And it's much easier to explain a new technology with something that I can actually try. And you know what? If it has a little bit of gamification integrated to it, where I really enjoy to embrace this new technology. This really helps to kind of squeeze something into the market. What's going to be the next level for it? Could you also see this in kind of a business environment?
Yes. So gaming first, and this is going to be a peripheral at first.
Right.
And with the peripheral, you're going to get gaming software bundled with the device, because of course you want to have something to use it for as well.
Yeah.
Only hardware is not interesting, but there will be software there, and there will also be generic software. So being able to surf around in Google Chrome, using your gaze point as the pointer. So you're just looking at the link. You don't need to use the mouse at all, basically. So just to speed up, increase productivity, will for sure be a future integration possibility into software.
Yeah. You said it already. You will bring a device to the market this summer. Can you tell us a little bit about the price range of it? How much does it actually cost to build?
Well, I can't tell you about the price range of the development kit that is out there today that you can go in and pre-order. And that's you can go right now and you can use a promo code with the GDC, since GDC is coming up next week, Game Developer Conference in San Francisco.
Yeah.
We have a promo code so you can get it for $95.
Okay.
I think it's 70 euros. So that's
pretty cool.
Yeah, the prices are really going down, and we're pushing very, very hard to get down, because we need to be at those levels to have a consumer device.
Absolutely.
Right. In terms of the SteelSeries device that is coming this summer, I think within a couple of weeks, so within this month for sure, there's going to be more information. But I can so far not say anything about that. Sorry about that, Sascha.
Unfortunately, GDC is already next week, right? Or in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah. Jeez, the last one was the summer. Was it in June or in July last year? They completely changed it, so we just can't go. I mean, the last one was fantastic.
But I'll make sure to send you an email as soon as we have any updates.
Okay, fantastic. That sounds great. So, I mean, right now we're talking about notebooks, laptops, and this could also be, of course, kind of substitute for your webcam on your computer. What about mobile? Will there be a solution that I might gonna connect to my tablet or even to my phone?
Yes, there are going to come solutions like that, and I think we saw it a little bit less than 1 year ago. Samsung came out with a Galaxy S4
yeah, absolutely.
with some type of eye tracking.
Yeah.
I was out doing a presentation, I think it was summer last year, and I had 500 people in the audience, and I asked them, so how many of you have the Samsung Galaxy S4?
Yeah.
And maybe 100 people or 50 people raised their hands, and I asked, so how many of you tried the Smart Stay and the Smart Pause feature? Everybody rose their hands, and I asked, so how many do still have this feature turned on?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, no, no, I've turned it off. I don't use it. So in order to get really good quality eye tracking, it's hard to do it on pure software. Right? Because the cam you have, the front-facing cam you have, it's very delicate. If you're looking at how many pixels it has, and the problem also is if you do not have any active light, if you go into a dark room, it won't work, and you really want
demanding,
it to. Yeah, it is.
And also in terms of performance, it uses out of your SoC, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people actually switched it off to save battery life.
Of course, but it is gonna come. I cannot say when it's going to come. From Tobii side, what we are focusing on is first in the summer the SteelSeries peripheral, and then if you would ask me, the next step would be gaming notebooks, and I would guess either end this year or first half 2015 that you will actually see it integrated into gaming notebooks. The reason why gaming notebook is first is because we are focusing a lot on the content on the gaming side right now. And the gaming notebooks are slightly bigger, so you can fit in some larger footprint equipment in them. So I think that's next step. If you're asking about mobiles, I would think you already have today software-based eye tracking or facial tracking. The difference is what we are doing is gaze tracking. So we want to be able not to detect where the eye is located, but to know where you're looking on the screen. And for that, you need some better quality components to
Absolutely.
do that. I would say I think tablet would be first because of form factor basically, and also because the use cases are more on the tablets. So I would say tablet. We could probably have something and 15.
Okay.
That would be my take on the tablet side, and then mobile phones would follow after that.
That's going to be pretty interesting because you're creating a platform that could be a fundamental part of a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think that's the main. That's the reason why we're launching the Tobii iX controller and the dev kit, is so that anybody who's developing a cool application or a cool game now knows that it's going to be able to be used on the SteelSeries device, on the future gaming notebook, and then after that we're going to see more generic notebooks and ultrabooks that are going to come after that. But what is important is exactly what you're saying, that all these applications can run on any type of platform, so that it's not that Lenovo has its own ecosystem and then HP has another, etc., etc. But it's important that you're creating a complete ecosystem for this type of a natural user interface.
Tell us a little bit about the software side. Is there an SDK for it? I'm sure there is an SDK for it. That's a given. Are you looking for cooperation partners, huge game publishers?
Yeah, as you're saying, of course, there is an API and an SDK, and there is both a low level. So if you just want to have the output as raw gaze data points, so knowing exactly where you're looking on the screen. But then you have to take care about filtering and taking care about what you want to do with it yourself. Many people want to do that. Others say that, okay, I want to use the Tobii iX engine, which has a lot of functionality, so you can snap your gaze to certain objects. So if you're creating an object on a screen, that you will immediately detect that you're looking at that object and so on. So this type of functionality on a higher level is also available. And then, of course, what I was talking about games before, to create the true immersion, to create the real cool things inside the game, you need source code native implementation in the game, right? So of course we are talking to all the major publisher out there today, and for the launch in the summer with the Steel device, there will be a number of games there with source code integration. We have one game called The Son of Nor, developed by Still Alive Studios, and they are now, for the launch of the device, The Son of Nor will actually have integrated source code eye tracking. So for instance, you will be able to lift up a stone by just looking at the stone and then just shoot it at an enemy where you're looking. So this is really part of the game. And since it's a game where you have special powers, it's a perfect situation. So there we're having a very close cooperation with them and a number of other publishers to make sure that there are a number of games already out there when we launch the device.
Could you imagine a combination that is not only focused on my eyes and on eye tracking and gazing, but also when it comes to gestures?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a camera, right?
And our eye tracking platform will also support facial recognition.
Okay.
So that's one part. In terms of gesture, that's still under feasibility study for us. We're looking into that because, as you rightly put it, when I'm out talking to OEMs or whoever I'm never saying that use eye tracking and not do anything else. That's the answer to everything. No, it's not. The real power comes when you're integrating, right? When you're integrating eye tracking with gestures or with speech or with touch. I mean, you don't want to have. Today, I think we see in too many places, we see silo thinking, that they say, okay, this is a touch application, or this is a speech application, or this is a gesture. But it's when you combine them, that's when you get the real power out of natural user interfaces.
So there is definitely the possibility. I mean, I think hardware-wise, your camera is easily capable of doing that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the question in terms of the camera is that we of course focus on gaze tracking with our sensor, and then you see, okay, what can we do in order not to lose too much on the quality side for eye tracking, in order to facilitate for other type of natural user interfaces as well. I think actually Gabe Newell said this, the CEO of Valve. He said just in comparing different technologies, gestures, for instance, it's perfect. I love playing bowling, using gestures in front of the TV. However, if I'm playing StarCraft, if I want to do gestures on a PC gaming like that, you're actually losing bandwidth because you have to raise your hand from the keyboard or the mouse and start doing gestures, which means that you actually lose bandwidth between the gamer and the game. However, if you combine gaze with already existing input, then you can actually add bandwidth. So you can give more information from the gamer to the game in terms of if you want to control it or if you want to add immersion and so on. So different natural user interfaces are good in different scenarios, and in some scenarios they work perfectly together as well.
You already mentioned some partners. Like, Valve is one of the biggest one on the market, and does it also tell me that maybe in the future, the next Valve games, whether it's an FPS or a role-play game or whatever, might have let's say, capable of running your hardware from scratch?
Well, that's $1 million question, right?
You would love to, I
of
bet.
Course. I would love to. And we are out talking to all the publisher, all the main game developers out there in the world. I'm sad, but I cannot really go in deeper into what we're doing with each specific one. I wish, you would love me to tell you, the details there, but I'm sorry, I cannot. But of course, our goal is to have source native integration into the games. On the way there, you will have other types of applications that you can lay on as an overlay over the game, so that you actually can do a lot of cool stuff in all these major game titles out there. But for the real cool immersion stuff, you really have to have it source code integrated.
No, absolutely, and that's why you need a lot of cooperation partners, right?
And that's the cooperation partners is starting to come in now when we're launching the dev kits on these price levels.
Right.
That's when we're seeing, and right now we have about 2,000 people both waiting for the device or already starting on the device that I actually showed you last year that runs on the same software and the same APIs. And we're of course targeting a huge amount of developers by the end of the year, and we are seeing now that they are starting to really build on the ecosystem and start developing really cool apps as well as games. So, I'm going to send you some cool links in in 2 months, so you can go out and see what kind of applications and games are starting to show out there on the ecosystem.
Is this kind of this form of perceptual computing a fundamental change for the industry, the way we're interacting with our platforms and computers, and the way we're interacting with data?
I think so. What do you think?
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
We're using a platform or a device or an input system that is over 100 years old, right? Which is our keyboard.
Yeah.
The first typewriter looked like this, exactly with the same layout. Right? Nothing really changed. Where they didn't have a shift key, or they had a shift key, but they didn't have a control key at that time.
And it took some years took some years to get the delete key as well.
That's true. Yeah. But in general, this way of data input that we were using didn't really change over a century. And now we have a combination of eye tracking, of voice, of gestures. That can be very, very interesting. Touch is also changed.
Touch changed everything, right?
Absolutely.
And we saw how Apple came in and grabbed a huge part of the the smartphone markets in half a year,
right? By
introducing a new natural user interface. Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned voice, and there is actually a really great way of integrating voice with gestures, with gaze. So with eye tracking. For instance, if I'm having my computer on and it's on and it's listening to my voice. If I'm talking to you like this, I don't want the computer to listen, right? So what you do is that you pull it through the gaze engine, and if you're not looking at the computer, it won't listen. But as soon as you look to the computer, you will be able to talk to the computer. Yeah. So this creates a more natural way of interacting, because just like in real life, I'm looking at you when I'm talking to you. I want to look at I don't want the computer to do all kinds of stuff when I'm talking to you or to some other person around me.
Yeah.
So only that thing will make the voice system much more robust. Right? Yeah. So that's a typical good example of how you're integrating different natural user interfaces to create a better experience for the consumer.
No, absolutely, especially when we have this kind of multi-level input system, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, gestures, voice, eye tracking, and still the keyboard, right? There's still so many user scenarios where I need the keyboard, where I want to have my trackpad,
Yeah.
where I want to have the touch screen,
or
right?
the mouse. It's not like you're gonna just take away everything and just sit with gestures or eyes in front of it. But in some areas, you have great use of a certain modality, if it's touch or if it's gaze or if it's gestures. And in other scenarios, you want to use some other input modality, and that's the key. And I think the winner we're going to see out there, if it's software or if it's hardware, it's the one who can combine the different modalities in the best way so that it feels just natural for you as a user, because that's where we want to end up, right? That it's just going to feel natural.
If I'm a user out there, if I'm a developer out there, where can I get all the information about Tobii?
Well, then you
I would guess Tobii.com.
Yeah, exactly. Tobii.com, and then you have Tobii's T-O-B with a double I, so T-O-B-I-I.
You know what? Let us just put the lid of your laptop.
Yeah, that's
into the
easiest.
camera.
And
Here we go. So, if you're a developer, if you're a user, also Developer und User, die Kamera ist ein bisschen schwierig jetzt hier.
Yeah. And here you can actually see, I
Going
brought
to Tobii.com.
Yeah, and I brought this one actually before because this is a prototype integration that we've done. So you can actually see that this Ultrabook actually features an eye tracker here. So here you can see an eye tracker that's integrated into the Ultrabook. And you can see here, if we keep that, I will just put it up so you can see how it looks in terms of how thin it is there.
Yeah,
so there you can see the eye tracker underneath the monitor. And that's how we see it's going to be integrated rather soon, actually, into different devices out there, and starting then with notebooks, but also monitors. You can integrate it directly into a monitor. Typical good way of integrating it, because with the peripheral you still have to put it up there, you have to glue it on and make sure that you connect it with USB. If you have it integrated, you're getting rid of a lot of hassle for the consumer.
Yeah. Tobii.com is the place to go.
That's the place to go.
To check all of this out. Not only if you're a developer, but also if you're a user, because you can already use it right now. Plus, on top of it, you said, there's a promo code for all the GDC guys. If you're interested in this, in the development kit, you're going to find it over there.
Yeah, I think it's going to, you're going to be able to create some amazing new applications with a completely new user interface, and let's just see what those, it's only the fantasy that says stop, right?
Sounds absolutely fantastic, Peter. Thank you so much. Das war Peter von Tobii, der uns die neuesten Entwicklungen halt zu ihrem Eye-Tracking und Eye-Gazing vorgestellt haben. Als nächstes haben wir gleich im Stream den Raphael Hochstetter von Roboy. Da müssen wir ein bisschen aufbauen. Jetzt kommt nämlich ein etwas größeres Gerät, ein kleiner Roboter. So klein ist der gar nicht. Der steht da hinten schon rum und den gucken wir uns gleich an. Und bis dahin schauen wir uns noch ein vorproduziertes Video an. Dann gibt es ein bisschen Werbung und dann sind wir so in etwa 5 Minuten wieder da.
Thank you very
Peter.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Good.
Hey guys, Sascha from Mobile Geeks. We're at the Showstoppers event at Mobile World Congress 2014 in Barcelona, at the booth of iTrial, and they're going to show us a pretty amazing new way of eye tracking, even with your smartphone. So Anders, you have this little dongle over there in the micro USB connector of your smartphone, and now you're pretty much controlling it with your eyes.
What we've done here is modify a Samsung Galaxy Note 2, a fairly old phone, where we've added an infrared light in the micro USB, as you say, and then using the camera sensor, we are able to run eye tracking on a mobile device. What I'm doing here is showing you how I can highlight buttons just by looking at them. So Fruit Ninja, web demo, map demo, calibration, unlock, Fruit Ninja, web, map.
Well,
Fruit
just
Ninja.
in case that you're not cheating, just launch Fruit Ninja.
I will. The way I select things is looking at a button and then touching anywhere on the screen.
Okay.
So what we do here is use gaze input in combination with touch. So we're not trying to substitute any of the existing input modalities. We just want to work in combination with them to create some really, really unique user experiences.
This is absolutely amazing. So, for how long have you been training this?
Well, actually, Fruit Ninja becomes incredibly easy when driven by a gaze. So it's actually hard not to look at the flying fruits. So playing Fruit Ninja with bombs involved is actually very, very hard with eye tracking because you cannot not look at bombs when they come flying, right?
Well, this is of course a prototype right now, right? Because I think you wouldn't expect people to buy this kind of additional device that goes into your micro USB port. I think you would rather go for OEMs or ODMs to put it into their devices, right?
Well, Sascha, you're completely right, because this here is just proof of concept. We want to tell the people here and at all the other manufacturers that this is not something for next year or tomorrow. This is something that can be done now using existing sensors and will become even better with specialized sensors coming out later this year. So the issue is now, what does the developers want to use this for? And therefore we have released development kits for Windows and Mac OS, and now we are announcing this Android SDK that we'll be shipping for evaluations to manufacturers and OEMs. And therefore we're very excited to say that we are the first company ever to release a public SDK for Android, and hopefully this will be the start of partnerships with manufacturers and OEMs all over the world.
Fantastic, thank you so much.
You're welcome.